Greetings in light. This is Gil. How's it going? It's my 5th video of 100 on this challenge. Creating content, 100 videos, or just 100 pieces. I think I'm gonna focus on video, but I might mix it up a little bit perhaps. So it's I had a busy day. I did some weed whacking today, weed eating on a property to prevent, to help buffer the structures, the buildings from potential fire hazard. So it's like the dry grasses and weeds can help the fire spread. And this property is in a zone of fire in Northern California, high fire risk. So did a lot of that, worked in the sun. It's hot and dry, feel a little tired. Also a friend visiting me from out of town, so it helped me procrastinate, or I don't know, it helped me not make a video earlier. But here I am making a video. I was thinking maybe I could also do some short form content for when I need to just make a video, and something shorter. So I was thinking, I was mentioning in the last video the idea of sharing useful tools. So I could do stuff like that. And I still need to come up what I want this body of work to be about. I still haven't really quite answered that question. Maybe on day 100 I'll finally figure it out. But one of the things that I thought of today was that it would help me this body of work is, actually I wanted to say something at the beginning of this video which I forgot, but this body of work will be kind of my like a chrysalis, or it's more for myself, even though the purpose of, in many ways, I think good content is for the service of others, but I feel like in a lot of ways this is for myself, and for me to break into feeling comfortable creating content. I guess that's like one of the purposes of this body of work, which is kind of selfish maybe. Selfish, I don't know if it's narcissistic maybe, I don't know. Yeah. And also, I don't know, I'm not sold on that idea, but that was an idea that kind of crossed my mind. Maybe, I'm not sure if that's it though. And I was gonna say, I said at the end, I think it was the last video, or maybe the video before the last, can't remember if it was the last or the one before, but at the end of the video when I'm doing my thought process, I was thinking that I was apologizing basically that I might be this might not be the most valuable content. And I was stating that in many ways this is like a process I feel like I'm doing for myself. So I understand if people don't want to watch this, and I don't want you to watch this if this does not benefit you. And I mean, yeah, please don't watch this if you don't feel like it's helpful for you or enriching to you, and I totally understand. So yeah, that was what I was gonna say. Maybe this will change, hopefully. Like, I mean, maybe not in 100 days, maybe in like 2 days or 3 days or 10 days or something like that. So, I have been maybe a little bit of a slacker on like preparation and stuff like that. I did try preparing some today. I was looking, what was I looking at? Well, one, I was looking through different tools I looked at Huberman stuff. I looked at some Tibetan Buddhist practices. Thought like something I could deliver of value, like extract from there. But I mentioned in one of the previous videos, I mentioned that I saw an Instagram post by Dr. Scott Barry Kaufman, who used to have the Psychology podcast, which I think has a new name now, but I don't know the new name. Don't remember it. And then, so I saw the post, and it was talking about the self-help industry book. You go to a bookstore, you see the self-help section, and he said you don't really see so much of a other help section, helping others, morality, stuff like that. And so I didn't read the article at the time I mentioned it, but it kind of like, I felt there was something there. I wanted to go back to check it out, and I did. And then so I went to his Instagram, then it led me to his Substack. He has a Substack called Beautiful Minds, and I think it was the article before the last one. Right now it's like we're in the end of May 2024, so I don't know when the article's from, but it was the one before last. And what I got from it, so I mean, go check out the article if it's interesting to you. But he was talking about how there was research on humans, and they found that people are mostly looking to reduce their anxiety, reduce their depression, be more productive, be more creative, be more social, pursuing social status too. And there's very little focus on becoming a better person, being kind, being compassionate, being honest, developing one's moral character. Like, I think they said that 9% of people, there were two moral traits. Like 9% of people, there was one moral trait, either it was like developing moral character or developing kindness. There was like 9% were interested in one aspect of moral development, and 3% were interested, when you had like 78% were interested in things like, I don't remember, things that are not relevant to moral character, things like success, productivity, creativity, which are all great things, I think. But then he was mentioning there's something that's called the light triad, which is in contrast to the dark triad. And these are, I need to look it up. They're more like virtuous traits, the light triad. And there is research that suggests that developing oneself morally does increase traits like meaning. Hello, good evening. How's it going?
I like those shorts.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, likes my shorts. Sorry, some people just walked by. What was I gonna say? I got distracted. Anyway, the conclusion of the article was that for whatever reason, most people are not prioritizing moral development, virtue, and it's either because they don't. I think the assumption was that either they don't think that it's going to significantly help them on their pursuit of happiness, or they already feel like they are moral enough. And the author seemed to suggest that cultivating one's moral self will also help cultivate meaning and either it's traits that correlate with greater happiness. So I think it was a push for that, maybe for exploring that maybe counterintuitive pursuit. And also, like, and yeah, he was saying that the self-help industry is well aware of the data on, what people are actually looking for, and it reflects in like what the books are about. Let me think. I feel like I had another point I was going to bring. Yeah, and I do feel like a lot of the content, even like, like a lot of the content that I'm interested in too, is like very self-focused, so it's just something to I don't know, I think it's something worth considering. And it doesn't I did not understand it to be like conflicting in any way with, pursuing success, pursuing reduction of anxiety and depression, pursuing creativity, pursuing greater social connection, and even social status. So that's what topic I thought maybe, a topic that interested me, and I thought maybe to share. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the religious, traditional, and ancient religious and philosophical traditions emphasize the importance of virtue, and maybe there's something to that. I also think, though, that I heard I saw a quote somewhere by the Dalai Lama that even compassion can become, I'm just like trying to counter what I just said the second before, but like there can be like well, I've heard him say, and I've also read a book by Desmond Morris on how there is such a thing as like pathological compassion. Well, there's also what's the word? There was another. It was like pathological altruism, like where one can, which I feel like I've suffered from personally in my life, is just over obsessing with, like in the Desmond Morris book, he gave an example of like a woman that wants to save like all the cats, all these cats from, I don't know, it's like from being euthanized or whatever difficult conditions they might be living in, and just like no matter how much he like did for these cats and tried to take care of them, it was a never ending, there was so much of it that she couldn't keep up with it, which led to her suffering, so I feel like there are nuances and subtleties in even the pursuit of doing good. In my experience, I believe I have there is a form of OCD that's actually called responsibility OCD or responsibility OC or scrupulosity OCD and or responsibility OCD, and it can become like an obsession that can create a lot of anxiety and guilt, and it can be depleting. So I think there is a healthy way to be altruistic, virtuous, compassionate, and I think there's also like probably like a dark, unhealthy way to do it. So that's also something I comes across my mind. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I said I would prepare for I also said I was going to try to prepare more for this one, and I did prepare a little bit. I just read that article. Well, I put it on play. I like the audio feature on the Substack. Some of the articles you can just press play and listen to it. So I listened to it twice. I also was looking at so that was some preparation. If I had like a screen in front of me with all like where I could look at the article, I could give you like more precise data on like what the studies said and stuff like that. So in that sense, I'm not so prepared because I don't remember the exact details. And then what was the other thing? I was looking up this meditation. Well, I looked through some of Huberman. He has his newsletter, The Neural Network, and I was looking, but none of it was exciting me. It was kind of like felt like kind of boring, so I didn't want to do that. And then I recently, my friend was telling me about Tibetan Buddhist practice called feeding the demon or something like that, and she said there was scientific research that supported like the benefits about it. So I like ran it through ChatGPT, and I read about the feeding the demon practice, which is based on an ancient practice called Cho. It's spelled like CHOD. The O has two dots above it. Cho. It looks like Chod, but it's Cho. And that one also, like, you work with like visualizations and demons and benevolent, but the feeding the demons is I think a more modern adaptation of the practice, and there is research on it that shows it to have like benefits for one's various aspects of one's well-being, but I don't think I've practiced that technique before. I have practiced before, which I wanted to look up, and I think there is research behind. What's this practice called? It's called, oh damn, forget the name. One second. I'll remember it later. It's escaping my mind. It's a traditional Tibetan Buddhist practice where you inhale suffering and exhale bliss or Buddha mind, and it's you start with your own. There's different levels. First, they start with your own suffering, and then they start with like a bigger group, and eventually like all sentient beings. And I think that I read about that. It's a long practice called something long, but in Tibetan, forget the name. Tonglen. I'll remember later. I think it's Tonglen or something like that. But I was reading that it helps tone your vagus nerve, and it had all these other benefits. Honestly, like, I've done it a few times, and I think the only time I really kind of felt it, I did a meditation. There's a meditation teacher named Tara Brach, and she did a guided practice of it. I think it's called Tonglen. And I kind of like, I felt like I kind of got it. But before that, I didn't really so much. Like, I'm more of when I practice, like, the most meditations that worked for me were just like sitting silently, noticing my breath. That's one thing I do. Also, I do a practice, or I used to do more, a practice called, it's self-inquiry, and where you inquire into what this sense of self is, and yeah, and often when one studies the self, you have to experience it, but there is like you can kind of see through it and see that, in Buddhism they speak of emptiness, and I've heard one teacher say, like, everything is empty of self. Like, at the core, at least in one, there is an aspect of reality where there is no self. Well, there's at least no, like, the ego self is on one level it's not real, one could say, but a reality is free of self. But then there's also like the capital S self. Oh wow, I'm going on 24 minutes. Shit. I don't know if this one, yeah, the capital S self is the self that is just awareness, that's not the me, I'm a person self. But if there's another facet of reality which is real as well. Some call it relative reality, and in that reality, this I person, me, this is I, Gil, is real. And if I were to deny it, or like just look at it from the perspective where it's not real, then, I mean, they're both true at the same time, if that makes any sense. I don't know if it does. But sometimes it's good to notice the reality, the aspect of reality that is free of self, lowercase self. Anyway, I don't know if that made sense. Yeah, most of the, I don't know if in this group, the challenge people, if any of them are doing these longer videos. I didn't see any. So, yeah. I know that I could have like delivered the content of this video in a more professional, planned out, with more data, where I don't have to like, oh, I can't remember what that practice is called. I would research it and look it up. The name would pop up on the screen. There would be like captions at the important points, and I would have all the data and the charts and stuff, and it would be like way quicker. I could do that, but I don't know. I don't know if right now I haven't. Well, maybe slowly. I think I'll do more like ads, kind of stuff like that. And I do also wonder though if there is some sort of value to this like less professional style. But how do I convert this into making money? That's like, yeah, something to it's a cool, good question. Mm. Mm. Well, I think that's it for today. It's quite pleasant outside. The weather is kind of like cooling down. It was pretty hot today. I can breathe the oxygen from the trees. There's like freshness. All right. Blessings and peace. Gil out.